Hey, good afternoon, guys, and really appreciate you guys being out covering us. Always the coverage you guys provide that makes us visible in our representation across the nation and in Western New York and in MAC territories as well. Excited about getting into conference play. We're excited about turning the page a little bit and, starting this new season for ourselves in terms of being 0-0 in MAC play, obviously. Haven't got off to the start that we wanted to. But what I love about our football team, I think like even today, if you came out to practice, somebody forgot to tell us that we were supposed to be down and not practice hard. Our guys came out with a chippiness and an edge, and I thought they practiced really well today for a Tuesday practice for us. Hard-fought battle last week, and you look up, and what's the lesson for us? I told our team, we're down by 3 scores in the fourth quarter. We end up having the ball in our hand with a minute and a half with an opportunity to go win the game on the road against what we believe is probably going to be a pretty good Sun Belt team. And we didn't come away with the W. So, we came up short. But what I think you saw was a lot of resiliency in our guys, a lot of toughness, a lot of mental toughness and physical toughness to be able to get ourselves back in a position where we could win the game. And then we got to talk about, what are the things that are keeping us from finishing those type of games. We know that we've played probably, if we look at it when it's all settled, 4 teams that are going to probably be playing for or right in the middle of playing for conference champions in their own respective leagues with Fordham, with Liberty. I believe they probably got a pretty good shot to win Conference USA. I think that Lafayette team, Louisiana Lafayette's got a pretty good chance to be a representative, at least on the west side of their division in the Sun Belt. And I think the way things are going right now in the Big Ten with the west side, I think Wisconsin will probably be one of the teams that are going to be right in the middle of winning their division, if not their whole league in the Big Ten. So we are where we are. We also know that we've played really 4 quality teams, and we got to turn the page and get ourselves ready for MAC play.
The last 4 games, turn the focus to Akron to the MAC schedule?
I think by doing what we were able to do today, of doing the next right thing in the moment, there's no magic wand. There's no, hey, you do this and then it guarantees this. The thing we have to do is adhere to our process and our standards and our way of doing things. And do we have enough mental toughness and enough physical toughness and the things required to be able to do what's required in the moment and handle our business the right way moving forward? We can't be a prisoner of any moment. And I know it's sports. I know, I told our team, maybe some outside people will tell you it's time to quit. I think you have seen our team. There's been no give up. There's been no let up. We just got to continue to coach and play better. I believe in our football team. I believe in this team. I believe in our building very strongly. And we're going to continue to do the next right thing in the moment with our people and our process and keep clarity of our purpose. We got to continue to perform better in the moment.
Games this year, Mo, where it's been sort of first half one thing,
right,
second half another,
right,
offense good, defense bad,
yep,
flip it around. How do you get more consistency?
Right. I think the only way you get consistency in the game is you get consistency in your process. You get consistency in practice, and the football is a sport where you practice so much more than you ever play. It's one of the few sports. It's kind of one of the only ones outside of maybe boxing or MMA where you practice so much more than you ever play. So what you do in practice, we tell our team practice execution is game reality. What you do in practice does show up in the game if you want to be a consistent player, a consistent unit, a consistent team during the game. We got to bring that consistency to practice. I thought we had a really good week leading into our Lafayette game. I told the team. I thought the week before in our Liberty week, our practices were inconsistent, and we told the team that. So we have to have consistency in how we coach, consistency in practice. But I wasn't surprised. I thought we were going to be right in the middle of it last week, up or down by 7 in the fourth quarter. That's exactly where we were. It was a hard-fought game on the road, and we came up short. But the way we responded with Monday and Tuesday, our guys have no doubt. They're not blinking. They're not flinching. We got to continue to have each other's back, continue to adhere to our standards, and continue to do the next right thing. And that's what they've done. And our team leaders have done a phenomenal job. I'm proud of our guys for that. So, I'll be the first to tell you we're not happy with our overall record. I do believe we're a better team than what our overall record is, and we're going to block out noise and we're going to move forward together.
Sean Dolak didn't practice today. Will he be available this weekend at Akron?
Yeah, we're looking forward to having him being ready in the game, more precautionary than anything. Sean's a guy that he's been out there a lot, and we fully anticipate him being ready to go.
What's the nature of his injury?
It's just a lower ankle injury.
All right.
Coach, you talked about that leadership. How big is it to have them, that personnel in this building right now that saw last year a slow start turn into becoming a MAC contender and an eventual bowl win?
Right. I think it gives you, one, anything that you've done before, it gives you confidence that you can do again. Those are words, but if you've seen our play, I thought for us to go on the road last week, we had a 3-hour flight to Louisiana. We had a small contingent of fans, and I'm so appreciative of those guys coming out and family members coming out to support us. But it was Buffalo against the state of Louisiana kind of feeling last week, and I thought you saw our guys battle. I thought you saw our guys being really mentally tough. I mean, how many times we've been in those type of situations just in the coaching history where you go on the road, things aren't going your way, you're down in the season, and, people maybe fold up the tent, so to speak. You haven't seen that in this roster, in this team. You certainly haven't seen seen that in your head coach standing in front of you. And so we have a lot of confidence in terms of what we think we're going to be able to do, but we also know that the work is in front of us. Stockdale, we told the paradox of James Stockdale, who was a former U.S. Navy admiral who was a prisoner of war for 7 years in Vietnam, and he had a quote where he said that you can't lose your faith that ultimately that you're going to prevail in the end, but that's not to dismiss the discipline that you have to have in the moment to do what is required and to acknowledge your current state. And I think there's a real balance to nobody is dismissing where we are overall, but we certainly haven't seen any kind of flinch. This team has shown a lot of resolve where we have the ball in our hand on the road, and we have every opportunity, probably a couple plays away from winning that game, and we most certainly we're going to be ready to go for 2 in the moment. We came up short, but our team hasn't had their heads down. We had a really thorough practice out there today. We're going to take on a very, very good Akron team. Joe Moorhead's an experienced coach. He's coached in the SEC, former SEC head coach. He was an offensive coordinator in the Pac-12. He's been building his roster. They had an overtime loss to Indiana last week. They had a narrow win against an FCS school, and then they came up short against Temple there. So they've been competitive themselves. We know it's SMAC play. We've been in these situations before, and we feel like we're going to have what it takes ultimately to be where we need to be.
What do you think this team has learned about itself in the first 4 weeks, and how do you build them?
Well, if you've learned anything, I think if you continue to pound the rock, if you continue to chop wood and carry water, if you continue to take the next right step, you'll find yourself on the road with the ball in your hand with an opportunity to win. You got to block out noise. This is big time football. We know. We understand all the parameters that are involved. We understand all the moving parts around the program. There's nothing that we're dismissive about, but none of those things matter. The only thing that matters is how we prepare and how we perform in the moment, and do we have enough resolve to ourselves to get ourselves ready to go Saturday at 12 o'clock on the road with another MAC opponent. That's the only thing that matters. That's where all of our focus needs to be.
We saw a little bit the most that we've seen of C.J. Agbana in this game. What dynamic does he bring? What has impressed you about what you can do with him?
Yeah, it's something that we've been working on for a few weeks, Paul. With you look over, you're always looking at the anatomy of your roster, and how do you get guys that you think that can play? How do you get them involved? How do you get them game ready? How do you maybe develop a package or a series of calls for a guy? So this is something we were working on for a couple weeks with CJ. Obviously, as a former starting quarterback himself, and knowing that he has a dual threat ability to himself, and the energy that he provided, the spark that he provided, I thought was all healthy for our roster. He's a guy that anybody that can take a small job and do it well, it's something that you can build on. If you remember, Sean Dolek a couple years ago was a guy that we gave a small job to. He kind of took a sledgehammer to a small job, and his role grew. So we're always finding ways, looking at our roster thoroughly and getting guys involved and keeping them involved all the way through.
Yeah, with Sean being missing practice, Damon Williams didn't practice today, Nick Miller didn't practice, Zion Hard didn't either. Will they be available this week?
Yeah, all those guys we're anticipating being ready, coming off of a small minor injuries. Right now, this time of the year, Rachel, I think if you looked at every college roster, 133 teams, everybody's kind of got something going on. So we're working guys with treatment and rehab, and we're going to get our guys ready to go.
And you said, mean, these are pretty big names, pretty big guys with key roles on your team. You've said this before about the depth.
Right.
How do you need that depth to come through the league, if in fact these guys can't play?
Well, I think that's where, when you are proactive in terms of how you develop your roster, these things you can almost anticipate the nature of our play style and how we like playing north and south football. We know it's a physical game. Both teams are physical. Guys play physical. And we know, and I learned along the way, how many players you really need throughout an entire season to be prepared and ready to go. If you look at our past history, look at our bowl game. Tajay Ahmed's a guy that was not starting the season for us. He ends up rushing for 100 yards in a bowl game. Devin Grant started at safety for us in a bowl game. He didn't start the entire season. Jalen McNair was a guy that started for us in a bowl game, didn't start the entire season. So everyone pays attention to maybe your top 11 guys on offense and top 11 guys on defense. We really have a deeper dive into our roster, maybe the top 40, top 50. How do we continue to raise the ceiling and the floor of our roster? How do we give guys small jobs, let them grow? You've seen Charles McCarthy, a guy that didn't start the season starting off for us at corner, came away with 2 interceptions on the road. Victor Snow's a guy, came here as a walk-on. We saw him working hard. We're developing his role on special teams. So we are in a continual phase and role and a process of how do we continue to develop every guy on our roster. You're seeing that play out.
You caught Akron at the end of last season. Now you're catching it at the beginning here. What's jumped out at you that's different about them from last year?
I know they're extremely well coached. I got so much respect for Coach Joe Moorhead. His background, what he's been able to do, he's had success. I mean, virtually everywhere he's been, Pac-12, SEC, FCS, all over the place. I know he's going to have his team ready to play. You see his team playing really hard. I mean, they take a Big Ten opponent into overtime. So we know the type of game this is going to be, and really, if you just watch Mac play, the type of game Mac play is going to be. I mean, it's a tough league. There's so many close parallels in our league. The coaching comes alive. The playmaking comes alive. One play here, an inch here, a play made by this guy over here. So we're looking to continue to detail our work and be as prepared as we possibly can for 12 o'clock on Saturday and get ourselves in the sweet spot so we'll be ready to go.
Also, the last 2 games you were down 24-0 to Liberty, down 2-0 to Louisiana early. How does this team set the tone, get those quick strikes early, and really, open things up early as opposed to hesitating?
I would say hesitate. I just think we got to get ourselves off to a fast start, and I think that's just the nature of ball in and of itself. There's a couple things we've tweaked in practice, starting a different drill at the beginning as opposed to maybe doing it in the middle or at the end, but it's certainly a thing that we've paid attention to. We want to be a start fast team, but we also want to finish strong. We were able to outscore Louisiana Lafayette in the fourth quarter. We've been outscored in the fourth quarter the last 2 weeks before that game, and then there's a toughness piece to being able to come back on people, to have enough resolve and enough toughness to do what's necessary in the moment to give yourself a chance to win at the end. There's another type of toughness also to be able to start fast and come out and better position ourselves early on in the game. So that's certainly something that we've talked about to our team, and positioning ourselves from practice design and how we call plays early on so we can get off to a faster start. Thanks a lot, guys.